Nate's here.
Nate's here, okay.
And Mr. Simmons.
Is she, everybody? Yes, okay. Okay, afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting, this 12 p.m. on October 11th here at GHURA's main office. We will begin with roll call. Let's see. Okay, so we just start. So let's do that again. Afternoon, everyone. All right, this is the Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting, 12 p.m. this October 11th here at GHURA's main office. We'll begin with roll call. Vice Chairwoman Monica Guzman.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Ishizaki. Commissioner Ishizaki is not here. Commissioner Delia is not going to be able to join us. Commissioner Sanchez. Thank you very much. Commissioner Rice.
Here.
And Commissioner Corpus. I see you online.
Present.
Yes, thank you very much. So we have a quorum. Let's move on to item number 2, board meeting, public announcements, first printing and second printing, which is contained in your packets. The first printing for October 4th and the second printing for October 9th. Let me see all of in order. Thank you very much. Moving on to the approval of previous board minutes of September 27th, which is also located in your packets. Commissioners, if you may review that. Let us know if there's any corrections or changes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a correction.
Yes, Madam Vice
And
Chair.
that would be on page 4 towards like 2 paragraphs above old business.
Okay,
The third line in that paragraph, it says that the documents in the board packet will serve supported. I think we just need to add a serve to, add a to between serve and support.
got it. Thank you
And
very much.
then the second one I have is on page 5, and that would be 1, 2, 3, the 4th paragraph under the bullets.
Okay,
Second line, it says Inland Builders had 2 issues. One is the limited construction manager. I think maybe they meant the limited availability of construction managers. That sentence just doesn't sound right.
One is the, okay. Limited availability, right?
I would imagine. And that's all I have for corrections.
Okay, thank you very much. There's no other corrections. May I get a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the previous board meetings of September 27th, 2022
Subject to corrections?
with corrections.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Corpus. May I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Stashes for the second. Any other further discussions? Hearing none and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand so I may see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion passes for the approval of the minutes of September 27th, subject to any corrections that were noted. Thank you very much, commissioners. Moving on to item number 4, new business resolution number FY 2023-001.
Thank you, Chairman Rivera. Resolution number FY 2023-001, resolution approving above step appointments for the temporary accountant 2 positions. Whereas under the enabling legislation of the authority, Title 12, 5103 GCA, its Board of Commissioners is empowered to employ officers, technical experts, agents, and employees, permanent and temporary, as it may deem necessary, and shall determine their qualifications, duties, tenure, and compensation. And whereas the Board of Commissioners recognizes their authority to recruit above the minimum step and wishes to do so even for temporary positions. And whereas on 9/30/2022, GHURA HR completed the accountant 2 recruitment merit system positions by offering the classified positions to Ms. G. Young Kim Regis and Mr. Bedrick B. Briones. Whereas both prospects requested to be recruited above the minimum step and will be pursuing that track, which can take 4 to 6 weeks before coming on board. And whereas recognizing the severe staffing shortages currently facing the fiscal division during this critical period of fiscal year end closing, annual audit, the HUD FDS reporting, to name a few, HR has recommended this temporary track as a way to bring the 2 accountant 2 individuals on board as soon as possible. And whereas, given the recruitment difficulty for the accountant 2 positions, the prospects have requested an above step recruitment of $55,000. And whereas HR can support an above step recruitment for the temporary accountant 2 positions at MG4-7 in parentheses D at $55,025 per annum or $26.45 per hour. And whereas the Board of Commissioners acknowledges the recruitment difficulty with the accounting positions and the critical need to fill them immediately by offering the above step appointment to the temporary accountant 2 positions, while HR proceeds with their above step recruitment track for the classified positions. And whereas in consideration of the recruitment difficulty for accountant 2s, the Board of Commissioners wishes to compensate Ms. Regis and Mr. Briones at above the minimum step for the temporary position of accountant 2 at pay grade MG4, step 7D, which is $55,025 per annum or $26.45 per hour. And whereas funding for the above step recruitment is available under COCC funds, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners grants the above step recruitment to both Ms. Regis and Mr. Briones, respectively, to the temporary positions of Accountant 2 at pay grade MG4, Step 7D, $55,025 per annum, or $26.45 per hour.
Thank you very much, Mary. Commissioners, do you have any questions? I believe we have fiscal, right, and HR in the house. Thank you very much.
Actually, I don't see HR. Audrey?
She's here.
Hi.
Oh, she's in there. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
This is for a temporary position. And more than likely, at some point, they will become permanized. Is that correct?
Actually, good morning, Commissioner. Yes, it is a permanent position that we completed the recruitment for. They did indicate to me that they would like to proceed with an above step recruitment. And normally that process takes 4 to 6 weeks, you know, and with the holidays coming up, I think it might look like 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. So in consideration of that and the immediate need and help with our fiscal team, the best thing I could think of was to offer them a temporary position pending me proceeding, doing the technical analysis that's required by law and by rule, and going on that track while we bring them on board to provide and augment the operations of the fiscal team. So I think that's the best course of action to go with. And so with the board's approval, review and approval, we like to proceed with that to bring them on board, but it's still subject to your approval, and hopefully you'll support us on that. And I'm sure Ms. Fran can attest to the immediate need. I will be coming back to you once that process is done. So this is just for the temporary position.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so to be clear, they could have waited the 4 to 6 weeks, one-time shot, but we needed them right away. So this was my opportunity to say, would you come on board as a temporary position? For now, while I work on that process. And so they agreed to it, subject, yes, the technical requirements. Because right now we only have a fiscal team of 2. We lost, of course, the passing of the controller, and then we had a resignation 2 weeks ago for the accountant 3. So
Right. And that was going to be my question. If there's above step recruitment for temporary, when the time comes to be permanized, does it automatically the salary follow to the permanent position? But you answered my question. This is just a temporary fix. Thank you.
right.
Mr. Chair, may I add? Just to be clear on the record, although, you know, it may show the temporary position in terms of the track, to be clear, these 2 individuals were hired competitively under the classified system, the merit system. So the announcements went out, it was open, they were rated, and then they were interviewed. So they won competitively just in order to one, provide the need and potentially keep them is to, go this route to put them on the temporary track for an above step before that we lose them potentially to another agency or the private sector. So, of course, pending the permanent approval of above step.
The process.
But yeah, just to be clear, it was all merit based. So even though it says temporary, these were not unclassified hires or just pulled out from a hat.
Right.
We went through the full process and the records reflects that.
Right. Thank you very much for that clarification.
So we were quite fortunate. We picked up these two individuals who had considered what the deputy just mentioned, how competitive that's been. So I'm happy that we were able to get.
I think we're all pulling from the same applicant pool. We
Yeah.
have ULG,
Yeah,
searching,
basically.
They're all asking for
OPA.
content too, and like, why?
Yeah, but they applied here, right? So they're showing interest in GHURA. And so we want to just foster that as much as possible and not lose them because, other opportunities are there right now. So hopefully we were first in the chute and we have an opportunity to catch these individuals
and retain them.
and retain them, yes.
How many more vacancies do you have?
We just have one more.
One more.
After this
Will
one,
be the accountant three.
Will be the
Yeah.
three positions.
Oh, the accountant one, I'm sorry. the accountant one.
Counting one.
thankful
Okay.
to the 2023 budget. We have
Right.
another accountant one.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Any other questions from the commissioners? I think the area of need has been established previously, right? And we've had these discussions in previous board meeting minutes, and you're mentioning it, right? These positions, especially the accountants, are very competitive, and we do need to make sure we fill them as soon as we can, right? And it's good that they're showing interest in work, right? Okay. Commissioners, do you have any more questions? If not, may I call for a vote?
Chairman, I move to approve resolution number FY 2023-001. Resolution approving above step appointment for temporary accountant 2 position.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote of resolution number FY 2023-001. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, resolution number FY 2023-001 unanimously passes. Thank you very much, commissioners. Yeah, please express our gratitude to our 2 candidates and let them know that we are pulling for them. And we hope that they have a long and prosperous career here at GHURA, right? And please don't go anywhere.
I think they're expecting my call
Right.
right after this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. New business, intent to award IFB number GHURA -06-16-2022 CDBG. Madam Director.
Thank you, Chairman. GHURA -06-16-2022 CDBG, construction of MTM Community Recreational Facility, intent of award. Bid opening for this project was held on August 11th, 2022 at 2 p.m. There were a total of 6 contractors that purchased a set of bid specifications, of which only 5 contractors submitted a bid. Listed below are the results of the bids submitted, which were open and read out aloud. The first contractor was Genesis Tech Corp. With a 15% bid bond, and base bid 1 was $1,030,000. The second contractor was Mega United Corp. Limited with a 15% bid bond and a base bid 1 amount of $729,418. The third contractor was Canton Construction Corporation with a bid bond of 15% and a base bid 1 of $992,000. The fourth contractor was Surface Solutions with a bid bond at $92,250, and their base bid one was $558,818. And the fifth contractor was OH Construction with a bid bond of 15% and a base bid one at $939,000. The government estimate was at $1,214,316.96. In review of the bid results, Surface Solutions provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid for base bid number one. On September 7th, 2022, AE Manager Sunny Paris and staff met with Mr. Renaud Leung, President of Surface Solutions Office, to discuss their proposal. We informed him that his cost proposal is 50% below the government estimate. We needed confirmation to assure ourselves that they fully understood the work required as stated in the bid specifications. Mr. Leung confirmed the proposal submitted. GHURA was informed that Surface Solutions is the distributor for the materials for the metal canopy and owner of a painting company. Therefore, their cost to complete the project is within industry standards. Surface Solutions was the supplier for the prior Sinahanya Basketball Court metal canopy project and currently has a contract with the Department of Public Works, DPW in Dededo, to construct a facility similar to GHURA's project. Surface Solutions confirms and assures GHURA the proposed cost of $558,818 is sufficient to complete the project. AE staff confirmed the supplied construction material will meet the required material specifications stated in the scope of work. And in addition, the labor cost quoted is sufficient to complete the project. Surface Solutions has been cleared by the Department of Labor Compliance, OSHA, and EPLS debarred list. The attached verification is there. Based on the staff's review and determination, we are requesting that the board approves a contract with Surface Solutions for base bid number one in the amount of $558,818 to construct the MTM Community Recreational Facility. The award of this project is contingent on our legal, in parentheses, appointed SAG for GHURA, completed review of the project files and bid results in accordance with 5 GCA 5150. Funding is available under CDBG funds. If you have any questions, we do have Mr. Sunny present.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Okay, so, yes, Commissioner. How are you? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So Madam Director mentioned that there were 6 companies, but now we're down to 5. Yes, sir. If I may ask, who's the 6th company that's not present, or did they just not place a bid in?
They didn't put it.
They didn't put it in. Okay.
Yeah, I think they, because at the time, these were still online.
Okay,
And.
so preliminary part.
Yes, sir. Yeah. They did show up on a visit, but I forget. I'm sorry.
Nothing happened.
Yeah. And if I may, add, just to, if you have any concerns about the quality of the material, why is it so inexpensive and why is it so cheap? Yeah, and again, I'm not speaking for Surface Solutions. It's all about verifying their submittals. And so before we even accepted any of their proposals, I requested for the materials warranty certificate, which I received. And their manufacturer is set in Vietnam, which is and we did do our research, and it's one of the accepted manufacturers for the United States when it comes to this type of structure.
So they've been approved.
Yes.
By all staff to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they already have their approvals. And, this is not their first go around. That structure right there, the one that you see over at the mayor's office. Yeah, the mayor's. Yeah, that is the same manufacturer that had provided, manufacturers and supplier that had provided the materials and the structure for already a GURA project. So this is not a new thing. They've actually done this before. And of course, we run it through the rigor with me and Mike, doing all the back end checks with the manufacturer and the materials. So, and that's why, and yes, they do have a direct line with the manufacturer / distributor. So you can see the massive savings of almost 400,000. I didn't believe it at first, but then when they showed me the numbers, I said, okay, fine, I get it. There's the markup that always occurs.
It's kind of novel. They have nearly $500,000 discount. Yeah,
Sure.
Without the quality being compromised.
Right.
What's the projected completion on this?
Depends on the arrival of the materials, Mr. Chair. So,
We're still having delays on arrival?
yes, sir, there's still some supply chain
Logistical issues now.
in terms of shipping. It could be that the materials are ready, just the ships may not. Okay. So I will confirm with that.
We do have a spend date though on the fund. So there is a drop dead date on the project, regardless of the timeline.
Right.
To it. Do you have that?
Mhm.
On that? That would be, RP, right?
Yeah, it would be, well, this is a CDBG, sir. So I'm sure our spend date would be in July of next year,
Yeah.
but I should get that. Once usually what I do now, since we've already done our homework, once we get your approval, then I tell the contractor to go ahead and place it. So that way they can immediately bill us. We can at least 50%. And that'll start the clock, or at least it'll help us with the spending.
Mr. Chair, if I may add, what this memorandum was drafted on September 19th. There may be a delay on the SAC designation and the appointment. So just to clarify on the last sentence, second to last sentence on the memorandum, that it'll be contingent on legal review, maybe not necessarily from the SAG, perhaps from the AG's office. So legal review subjected in accordance with 5 GCA section 5150. So it may not be our SAG to do this one in particular. I just want to make that clear to the board. But the 5150 does apply.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? If not, may I get a motion?
I will make a motion to award Surface Solutions GURA 06-16-2022-CDBG construction of MTM Community Recreational Facility in the amount of $558,818.
We amend the motion to be subject to contingent on.
Subject to legal review.
Thank you very much. May I get a second on the motion? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sanchez, for the second. Any further discussions on the matter? Okay, hearing and seeing none, may call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, the intent to award IFB GURA -06-16-2022 CDBG for the amount of $558,818 to Service Solutions, contingent on the approval from legal. The motion passes. Thank you very much, Commissioners. All right, moving on to old business. Item number 5, the change order of Inarahan basketball court.
Thank you, Chairman. So as you may recall, at the September 27th board meeting, the change order was actually a discussion item. And it was indicated that paperwork for the change orders was going to be included at the next board meeting. And so that is what is being presented to you today. And I will defer to Sunny Perez regarding the change order documentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Liz, and good afternoon, Commissioners. We do have in the same room here, Mr. Luis Bustamante, the president of JJ Global, and his business development manager, Mr. Ray Canetti, accompanying him if you have any questions that you'd like for them to respond to. Now, before I begin, let me make sure that Ms. Audrey has the PowerPoint started. Next slide, Ms. Audrey. Good afternoon again, Commissioners. In the previous meeting, we brought up a chart of activities there. Next slide, please. There you go. And so you notice that each of the circled items has the attached line number, and it shows the percent changes that had occurred between 2019 and 2022. Now, each of them, the next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. Okay, on each of them, it shows that from the material cost increases of approximately 70,000, a labor adjustment of 75. Those were cost adjustments that occurred during the time of the project. And of course, item number 2 shows the largest cost adjustment of almost 92%. And that's why I have these two gentlemen here. If you have any questions, that they'll be more than happy to respond to them. Now, there are 2 items there, number 4 and 5, that are change orders that are required by the project. The first one would be the subsurface soil investigation. So I made mention in the previous meeting that anytime we would affect the ground or the dirt, that you do need to at least investigate and see what's under there. Sometimes you may run into cavities or crevices that you just never know. So that should have been part of the scope, but wasn't at the beginning. And so that is a cost that I would highly recommend to approve, please. The second one was the covered canopy design. These were additional services that occurred during our meeting, or actually was a groundbreaking ceremony over at the Inarahan job site. And at the time, there were several individuals, including our former director, defunct Ray Tupazna, with Senator San Augustine, Mr. Bustamante, and I think there was one more, and Mayor Chargalo. They were all discussing the possibility of putting up a canopy, a steel structured canopy. And at the time, Senator San Augustine had proposed to fund this project. And so everyone agreed that to go ahead and proceed. That's where this 20,000 charge came in. Again, no fault, no foul. At the time, it looked good. And referring to Ray Tupazna had also agreed to it. There were several emails that showed that. Nonetheless, there was a design that came out that we did not proceed with the construction. And as you can see, there's also overhead and profit for 58,000. Now, before I move on with the remaining portion of the presentation, I'd like to show you some progress pictures before we go into the specifics. So this picture was taken as of yesterday. So as you can see, there's a lot of the structures that have already been placed on the ground, and it looks like the what do you call that, Louis? The one that bleachers. Okay, so those are the bleachers that you can see. Next one, please. Okay, and as you can see on the left picture, that is the restroom. This is the restroom structure. It looks like the roof has already been poured and just waiting for it to cure and harden. On the right-hand side, those are additional poles to hold up the fencing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And that one in the middle is the fort rim, the rim itself, the rim pole. Okay. All right. Thank you. Next one, please. And as you can see, there's a picture of completed bleachers that was already poured and just waiting for it to cure, and another picture of the rim pole. Okay, so just a few notes on the progress, which is something that we're running into with another project about utility connections. I was informed that those utility connections, the water and power, are both done, right? Yes,
Yes, sir.
at least on the permitting side, because that's something that we're running into with another project. So I'm glad to hear that that's something we're not gonna snag ourselves with. I do want to make mention that the mayor himself had written a commendation letter to Mr. Lewis here, where he was the one that wrote the first letter, voicing his displeasure of the project progress, and is now commenting on JJ Global's progress. And I should say improved progress. Thirdly, the labor issues have been resolved, or there was a payment scheduled for release on Friday. Is that right, Ray, Mr. Kennedy, that your payment should be?
It was given yesterday.
Oh, you already received it. Okay,
Yeah, we
very
received
good.
it. It cleared the fact, yes, yesterday.
Okay, all right, very good. And so that was one issue that we had, was their labor paperwork, the wage and compliance matters were not meeting the requirements, meeting GHURA's requirements, and so that had delayed payment. But now that has been so forth resolved, which is very good. So, okay, so I just wanted to report that to you. Okay, next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. So the project history and the change order request is this. I want to usually put a little bit of history behind it just to make sure you know where everything kind of comes together. There was these notices, the FONSI and the ROF, which is the finding of no significant impact. That's page 46 of your packet there, commissioners. You can find that. This is a public announcement to show that this project, it's a public announcement requesting for project input and showing them that if there's going to be some type of impact, whether it be on your property or your house or land, please speak up. The other notice that's also attached is called the request for release of funds. And what I wanted to point out was the budget for this project, which was advertised July 26th of 2019, was at $738,000. The notice of intent to award to JJ Global was done in November 15, 2019. Your notes there, that is in page 47 of your packet. And it shows the original intent of award was at $369,000. The original government estimate, which is on page 55, was at $764,000. It was then adjusted and revised to $474,000. Why that was so, it was before my time. I don't like saying that. It's like a cop-out, but nonetheless, I'm unsure. But nonetheless, the original government estimate was set at $764,000. That's page 55 of your packet. Okay, so the requested adjustment as found in your packet is at $321,000. That's today's request, bringing the grand total of of the contract is $722,610 with a revised contract closing date of December 15th, 2022. So if you have any questions, we're more than happy to respond and deal with them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sunny. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Actually, Chairman, if I may,
Sure.
part of their change order request does say on item number 7, time extension 160 days. And I do recall that when we had a meeting with them on September 23rd with the Canettis, that they mentioned projected completion is around November with power and water. So what are we talking about with that 160 days? It's not going to be November? Because then that's a concern of ours.
So,
Please welcome to the table.
Hello, everyone. My name is Louis. Our commitment, as it was in some time ago, we had a meeting, was that I was going to be 100% involved in the project, and it's been since. The timeline that we put in there is just a realistic estimated time, and we're beating that by far. Right now, we very confident we're going to be done probably by the mid-December, not later, hopefully, depending on the weather. Right now, we are not working. Yesterday we worked half day. Today we're not working. It looks like this whole week is going to be very horrible, but we're going to try our best nonetheless. And so we're being up the time. That timeline, given that it's just a realistic time, given the circumstances and the contract that we have. But we're beating that by far. Our commitment is just done.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? You were a little bit muffled. The timeline that you're expecting completion is when? Mid-December?
Yeah, well, that's what we're looking at to finish at December 15th.
Okay, I think my deputy may have some concerns he would like to share. Fernando?
Yes, absolutely. So, Mr. Chair, so we've been tracking this, and this has been one of the red items when we do our weekly A&E meetings. We are far beyond the timeline on this. I think when we came to the table before in good faith, made clear the board and then the management would entertain the idea of a change order because of COVID-related additional expenses. However, that doesn't change the requirements of the contract, especially because a lot of our timelines are timed with HUD, right? And a lot of that funding that goes to these is dependent on it. That being said, in the meetings that have followed, it was very clear ask on what the timelines were. And we understood it to be towards the end of November, and then case like change to end of December. However, what was not discussed, and this is the first time seeing it, is a request for 160 days was not, to my knowledge, provided to our A&E staff on what that realistic timeline would be. Now, my concern with providing such an extended timeline is it leaves GHURA holding back, if I have to put it bluntly, and we lose our ability to consider our considerations in terms of contractual requirements and to be able to look at potential LD, liquidated damages or surety, and then the need to maybe have to rebid it out to get this project to completion. So to be very frank, for the benefit and looking out for the organization and our mission and the CDBG funds that are supposed to support the community, while I do support the change order based on the evidence provided, considering that one of the big costs is project management, I would advise obviously against an extension beyond 90 days from today, so that we can expect a reasonable timeline, plus provide that date to HUD. Because again, we have our responsibilities to HUD as well, providing the funds for these projects. I just gotta state very clearly for the record, I do oppose a 160-day extension. I think 90 days from today is reasonable. We still have to meet the mandates and requirements of the contract that was signed, right? We need this project done yesterday.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy.
May I speak, Chair? Yes.
Sir.
Director, good afternoon, Commissioners, Chairman. On page 6, we put there the latest schedule for the construction. And if you may everyone see that the projections here are towards end of November. And we stipulated here that we will relentlessly and expeditiously shoot for 90 days completion of the project, barring uncontrollable conditions, circumstances, which is weather at this time. So the 160 days just came up because the original was 220 days. And we worked for, at that time, we worked for 2 months. We took away 60 days. So technically, it was just a technical number to say that this is the remaining days, supposedly. But in the actual project management side, we already plotted out that barring any uncontrollable circumstances, we could finish it very tight end of November. So the last board meeting, it was expressed that there might be a slide of 2 weeks because of weather. But the technical side, we covered it to finish by end of November. Thank you.
So then by 90 days, if we were to grant by today, right, with the approval of this, a 90-day extension would give them that leeway in December, right? I think potentially a fair compromise, right? I mean, understanding the weather situation, but everyone who's dealt with construction knows weather's a concern. We plan for it accordingly. So hopefully we can get some resolution for it, but my position and my recommendation to the board remains 90 days from date of approval.
That's more than enough.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, right, with regard to your timeline. I think that this, in my personal opinion, I think that this, this project has gone on long enough. I side with the deputy that I think we do have due diligence to HUD. And I want to make it clear that to HUD, as well as all of our future contractors and contracts, we do understand COVID and the situation, but I think that excuse and that rationale for some extensions is already getting thin. And so based on that, I think that we need to start to go back to this, you mentioned new normal, and I think the new normal is getting back to the order of the business at hand, which is our timeliness. And so having said that, it is my opinion that the 90 days is more than fair. And should you accept it, the 90 days will start from the approval date, which is today. And your timeline, right, shows that you have plotted it out. And I think if you stick to that timeline, you should be well within it. That's where I'm at on this. Commissioners, do you have any other comments or discussion points? Anybody?
I agree, Mr. Chair. We should stick with the 90-day timeline. The project has gone on for too long. I'm just a little uncomfortable about the whole change order. I mean, just because I'm looking at all these quotes and some of them were just received or, you know, September. Jack Peters, a quote from Jack Peters was just September 21st. There was a quote from, where's that other one? Source Lighting and Electric, was original quote was November 2021, then a revision in March 2022. And I know that in Sunny, if you can just bring up that slide again, where it had the 92% for increase. What was that slide? Sunny?
Oh, let me ask Ms. Audrey to bring it up, Madam Commissioner.
Yeah, I think the difference between the original and the new projected is about a 95% increase.
Right.
Madam Commissioner, if I may add to that, just as a point of reference, if I may. Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Part of the reason too, in all fairness, why you may see some of these timelines compressed in September is, you know, we have been working with the contractor to get the required documentation in order to prep this and prepare it for the board while meeting timeliness in terms of preparing it for the agenda. And so, you know, we did push them and provide a no later than timeline. So I know they were working in overdrive to get the updated quotes from their materials and suppliers, because we wanted to ensure that there was evidence and documentation to back up every item on the change order that we're presenting you today. So while it may seem compressed, you know, we have been working on that, getting that information available to you. And I know they've been working to try to get all of that in as soon as possible. And they were notified by Sunny under the direction of the executive director and myself, that anything not provided in the change order with sufficient evidence will not be entertained. And only the amount of the change order with sufficient evidence would be entertained, and that would be presented to the board. And that's what you have with you today. And so, you know, in all fairness, that's reflective of the dates that you might see there. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you for that, Fernando, because that is correct. They were working with timelines we gave them because of the challenges they were having with submitting the proper documentation so that they could get paid. So yes, that is probably the reason why we're having those more recent dates than sooner.
Okay. Any further discussion on the change order? Hearing none.
Mr. Chair, hold on.
Yes.
It was a 90% increase in the bond, in the mobilization, and what was that, Sunny? On your spreadsheet?
That was on the general requirements, ma'am, and the general
Okay.
requirements should be found in your packet, page 5. Page 5. Page 5, ma'am, and I think Mr. Ray Kennedy can speak to your question.
Okay, and so I'm looking, and I'm not sure if the page numbers, because I'm looking at this packet here, and it's I'm looking at page 49 of
55 in your packet, Madam Vice Chair.
page 55.
Page 14 of 55 in your packet.
Okay, hold on.
Look at the bottom.
Page 14.
Summary of general requirements and labor costs. So in your packet, it's about 2 pages after the letter.
Right. There it is, material cost 50%, general requirements by 92%. Okay, and that 92%, is that mainly because of the CM?
If I may,
And the PM?
Commissioner Monica, if I may speak, the largest contributor there is project management. The component for project management is a project manager and the certified safety officer. When we started the project, there was the monthly rate market value for both was about 5,700 because of the inflationary impact of fuel increase plus very high demand in military construction. It's hard to find these two persons being project manager and certified safety officer. It has now close to double in the fair market value for the rates. We're looking at now $9,000 a month for both of them.
A month for both of them?
Yes.
Wow. Mr. Chairman, I think we're in the wrong business.
That's for sure. So it's nice a month, right? I see I'm looking at the letter that Mr. Bustamante submitted that says it drove the project management component to 90,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's at 9,000 a month, that's 10 months.
The first 9 months was when we started the project, it was close to 55,000. Now for the remainder of the project till completion, we'll be spending like 42,000 more. So it's even higher than what we projected.
Is that completion 160 days or at 90 days? That's right.
90 days.
This one's at 90 days. Yes, got it.
I mean, when we started, this one started August when we started the project. So that means 5 more months.
So it's beneficial for you to finish within the 90 days.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Madam Vice Chair, do you have any more questions?
Yes, from the original time that was required for this project, how long has it been extended? And I know we just had the discussion about the 160 days or 120 days, whatever it was, but from the original contract to today, has there been an extension? Or what? It's supposed to be completed in November, is that correct?
I can answer that for you, Madam Vice Chair. When the project was was originally awarded back in January of
2019,
2020.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. It was a 240-day project timeline, but that 240-day would start after the
Building permit.
Building permit has been approved, right, or upon approval of the building permit. The building permit took approximately 1 year to finish because of COVID. Many of the agencies had added to the delay, and so the building permit was eventually approved April 30th, 2021. And therefore we had, oh gosh, what do you call that again? The groundbreaking sometime in July. And so the project had then started, what, August there, Louis?
July.
Yeah, about July and September. Now, as they were moving along, something happened. Louis, I think you may want to elaborate.
So there was discussion during the ground breaking that they wanted an awning, or they were expecting an awning over the basketball court.
Yes, I recall that.
Yeah, and so then there was discussions, planning, and that had to be kind of like forecasted and pre-planned. Once you planning to put the footings into the existing drawings, it could create a coalition between the bleachers and the lighting, the lighting pedestals. And so all that was gonna be a big factor.
Okay.
You know, everything went on approval, disapproval. I mean, not disapproval, but everything was approval, it was on hold. And at the same time, there was, you know, what Defunto Rey to Pass Not Pass is where everything actually went on a stalemate. And we all were on the limbo. And all of a sudden, we just, you know, pick up the ball. We had the meeting, the discussion. I expressed my concern, the board did. I put my commitment, and since I have found I funded this project from the beginning till now. We actually 70% completion. And once we put a court, which that's where we beginning by next week, we're gonna be at 85% completion, all having done with my own funding, which just got paid 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And again, you know, based on the all schedule of value, so the money actually is just barely scratching the surface, but it's still.
Thank you, Mr. Bustamante. I don't want to belabor the discussion. I'm looking at our time. But Director Napoli and Deputy Director, during the last couple of years, with all of these ARP grants and everyone trying to find money for impact of the COVID-19, would this project qualify for any of those funds because of the delay in getting the permit because of COVID? Just trying to be creative and finding funding here.
I will actually defer to Kathy Titano for that question.
Madam Vice
Thank
Chair,
you.
the COVID monies were intended to prepare, prevent, or respond to COVID. So anything, no. In short.
Yeah, well, you know, this is a direct impact, correct? A whole year
Well, it was
delay
a
is a
project-
direct
it was a-
impact.
It was a project that was approved in an action plan prior to COVID and was in a certain start, but really it was meant to be more related to address services directly to people impacted by COVID. Not
Thank
project.
you. Thank you, Kathy. I'm just trying to be creative here.
Appreciative.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. Commissioners, any further questions on the matter? If not, may I get a motion for the change order subject to our amended timeline?
Okay. Motion to approve change order to our Interon basketball court pending timeline requirements and expectations. And also add the stipulation that our project is completed within a 90-day time frame and excludes 160 days.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor, just for clarification, motion on the floor for the $722,610.11 for the completion date of 90 days. Is that correct?
Correct.
May I get a second on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for seconding that motion. Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for vote? All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand so I can see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioners. Motion passes for the change order for the Interon basketball court for the amount of $722,610.11 under the stipulation of completion of 90 days, starting effectively on the approval, which is today. Right. Thank you very much, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Monte.
thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
you.
We want to make sure we have a good Thanksgiving and Christmas for our kids in Inoran.
I know you guys don't get it.
Thank you so
Right.
much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to item number 6, correspondences and report, the Home Investment Partnership Grant Program and Emergency Solutions Grant Program.
Thank you, Chairman. And so this is every board meeting, we are going to be trying to have our various divisions report on programs that they have. And so today it's the Home Investment Partnerships Grant Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. And I will defer to Kathy's team on their presentation regarding these programs.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Kat, did you want to do an introduction or?
Sure. Commissioners, this is Jolene Terlahi and Brandon Santos and possibly Robin, but I'm not sure if she's there.
Hi there.
Robin's there. Okay. Who you have there effectively are the staff of the Community Development Division, whose primary duties are to manage the home program, but also all home and rental projects, home affordability and any kind of rental projects that we have. So they're there because, to be fair, Jolene honestly precedes me into the agency, much less the division. And there isn't a better team available to provide you with a synopsis of the Home Investment Partnership Program.
Thank you, Kat. Good afternoon, Chairman, Vice Chair, Director, Deputy, Board of Commissioners. So as Kathy said, I'm Jolene Terlahi. I'm the Program Coordinator with the Community Development Division. We are a team of 3. We're primarily responsible for implementing the programs that are approved as it relates specific to housing. So not like the basketball courts or the community stuff, housing related, as Kathy said, rental, home ownership. So we're assigned today to present a short overview of the primary funding for our division. Audrey, are we ready? Thank you. So next slide, Audrey, please. We are the Community Development Division. So primarily the division is funded by the Home Investment Partnerships Program. It's an annual allocation of about $1 million every year. And of course, it is for affordable housing, to support affordable housing for low to very low income renters, home buyers, or homeowners. Next slide, Audrey, please. Eligible activities under the home program include homeowner rehabilitation, home buyer, rental housing, tenant-based rental assistance. So through the years, we've actually done we've done 3 of the 4. We have not done tenant-based rental assistance, which is similar to the Section 8 voucher program. The funding can be used for vouchers, but that's something that we've never done with the home program. Homeowner rehabilitation, we have done through the years. We've probably serviced or assisted about 135 households on Guam by renovating or reconstructing any substandard conditions of their home. That program is not as popular nowadays, and I can explain why later. Home buyer is really our main program right now. We assist eligible families in becoming first-time home buyers. And through the years, we have done an acquisition and rehabilitation program where we acquire units island-wide, we renovate them, then sell them to eligible families on our wait list. So from that program, it turns over to a first-time homebuyer program called Renewal Affordable Homes Program. Under that program, which has been about 6 years maybe, we have our in-house portfolio because we also finance in-house at 3% of about 35 mortgagers. Rental housing. So rental housing is new to us. About 2 years ago, we assisted Catholic Social Service in renovating one of their complexes. It's a 14-unit complex. and it's currently fully occupied, but it is with this funding. So tenant-based rental assistance, I guess through the years, we just never addressed that eligible activity, mainly because Section 8 is very similar. And we focus more on homeowner rehabilitation and first-time home buyer programs. So going back to homeowner rehabilitation, it first opened in GHURA specific to elderly or persons with disabilities. And this was about the year 2000, and it was only offered as a grant. So that type of design for the program lasted several years. And then through the years, as costs got higher and fees got more, we got less and less interest in the program. However, it's still open. We maintain a waiting list, and should we have an applicant, then we will identify the funding. Next slide, please, Audrey. So I've mentioned some of the programs that I just want to share with you that are ongoing. So acquisition and new construction. Right now, we have 2 units that are under new construction. One is in Agate and one is in Dedido. Those 2 units are going to convert over to the Renewal Homes program, where we're already trying to identify the next buyers of our wait list. And then affordable rental, so far we just have ISLA, which is the Catholic Social Service complex. We also run another small rental, but it's funded by CDBG. It's the former teacher staff housing, so we might have that as another topic another time. Again, we don't have any homeowner rehabilitation applicants at this time. The newest program that we have ongoing is called Build on Your Own Land. With this program, we were hoping to partner with the banks to maybe provide some sort of subsidy to eligible families that come through their doors. It's at a very early stage. We are actually going to meet with 2 of the banks this week to determine how we can help finance or assist eligible families in becoming first-time home buyers. And actually what we're kind of hoping for that we can work with is maybe somehow subsidize interest rates. So as you know, it is about 7%. Our in-house program is funded at 3% or financed at 3%. So we're kind of hoping on something along those lines, the interest rate, maybe down payment assistance, or something that maybe they can come up with that, we're not really familiar with, but we can determine whether it's eligible under the program. So I just wanted to share with you that through the years, previous home projects, so we did the homeowner rehabilitation for a while. GHURA, also Kathy wanted to mention, and I forgot, was that home's been around since about the year 1992. So I think we assisted Guam Housing Corporation during that time. And then I'm not sure what happened in the year up to the year 1999, we did the Aston Affordable Homes, which was 40 homes built in the Aston area, again, to eligible families. And then we did about 76 homes in the Estumbo area, again, to eligible families on properties that the government of Guam had given to GHURA to kind of develop and also kind of add to the GHURA 500 program, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but it falls under legacy, which are the older programs that GHURA had. Next slide, Audrey, please. So we have some new funding that's coming into play. And one of the funding sources is called Housing Trust Fund. Housing Trust Fund has been around for several years, but this is the first time we're going to receive an allocation specific to this funding. So for FY23, we're looking at about $373,000, and this money has to be used for rental for families that are 30% below area median income. So what we're hoping to do with these funds, if the 373 is not enough to build maybe a single family unit for rental, we might partner it or leverage it with other funds, maybe for a complex or even for a single family, but it has to address the family under 30%, very, very low, extremely low. Next slide, Audrey, please. So another new funding that we are expecting soon is a one-time allocation. It's called Home American Rescue Plan, also known as Home ARP. It's a one-time allocation of $3.8 million. Eligible activities include investment in permanent rental housing, acquisition and development of non-congregate shelters, provide tenant-based rental assistance again, or fund supportive service. So recent talk has been that we may either buy an existing complex and renovate it and or newly construct a unit or maybe a single family. The plan hasn't really been defined, but we do know that, well, we have to support affordable rental, but there's qualifying populations that have to be addressed, like the homeless, risk for homelessness, I believe domestic violence, and some other qualifying populations. So we know that we're going to either buy or build. We just don't know what populations are going to be addressed at this time, and we hope to define that really soon. Next slide, please, Audrey. So now the funds. Right now, the oldest funding we have is actually 2017, which I know sounds really scary, like we haven't been working or it's not moving, but that I can assure you is not the case. So on the project, the ACQRH-NC, that is an ongoing program, the acquisition, renovation, and or new construction, which just has a balance of 139,000. That's ongoing, so we expect that to be expended fully soon. The next line is actually funding that we had to reprogram, or we're in the process of reprogramming because it's pending approval, from other projects that were funded in the past. Habitat for Humanity of Guam did not work out for whatever reason. So we already committed money for their projects and it's just not working out. So with the time crunch, we have to collect all that money and then reprogram it to whatever GHURA decides. So in this case, all this money, 2018, 2019, the program income, which is funds generated from the loans that we've done through the years, through the mortgage payments, and the projection for the mortgage payments from next year, all that funding is going to be put together. We're requesting to build that transitional shelter or complex up in Derrida by Island Girl Power. I don't know if you're familiar with that project, but that's the latest. M19 is also kind of an accumulation of funds from leftover projects that we're going to use to continue construction in Assen. I don't know if you're familiar, but Assen is a former urban renewal area, and just through research and kind of through the program files, we've learned in the past 3 years that we have a lot of inventory there. So right now we're working with the SHPO to see what properties there are less likely to be affected by historic issues, because as you know, those cause delays. So we're kind of focusing on the Assen area because we have inventory there. And then the years 20 and 21, we're hoping to work with the banks. And then we're soon to receive another allocation for 2022, and that is going to be strictly for rental. And again, we're either going to build or purchase a complex and renovate it and just run another affordable rental program. Housing Trust, as I mentioned, is new, 373,000. We're likely going to have to partner that with something, again, to support rental, and then Home ARP. I know the Vice Chair had a question earlier about using ARP to help with the reason for the construction delays. Well, ARP, as Kathy said, is specific to housing. So housing related, rental only, addressing some qualified populations. So I hope that wasn't too quick to make you dizzy, but the next slide, please, Audrey. This is our contact information. Obviously, we'll be available if you have any questions, or if you have any referrals, or if you want to meet later about a specific project, or if you have questions now. Or that actually concludes the the presentation. So that is primarily what funds the Community Development Division, but we do have a lot of other aspects in our division that keep us busy. And as you can see, we have a lot of projects pending right now on top of, you know, the other stuff that we already have. So any questions, or you can email us, call us if you want to meet again, specific to a funding or a program, we're available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Thank you.
No? Okay, wow, they made it easy on you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you much. Madam Director, is
Yes, thank you for that, Catherine. We still have the Emergency Solutions Grant presentation, right? And is that going to be Ms. Amor?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Amor, where is you?
Yeah, I'm trying to adjust my camera. Sorry about that.
She's 4'0", so she has to adjust her camera. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Amor Say. She is a planner in the Research Planning and Evaluation Division, and her focus is largely the homeless programs. In particular, today she's going to present for you folks the detail aspects of the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, which this division runs. In fact, over the next few meetings, I think it's going to effectively be all the programs run by RP&E and CD. So this is number 2. Amor, if you would.
Audrey, may I request for the PowerPoint presentation, please? Can you hear me? Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amor Say. I'm a planner with Research and Planning Evaluation, and I manage most of the homeless programs on the island, including Emergency Solutions Grant and Continuum Care Homeless Assistance Program. Next slide, please. What is ESG? ESG is really designed, to address the needs of the homeless, primarily with the rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. Rapid rehousing meaning, to be able to assist them.
Very good.
And be able to assist them to rapidly rehouse those people who are living out in the streets, and for those people who are at the risk of being homeless. That is the homeless prevention. We can assist those clients. When I say me, it's the nonprofit who we partner with who manage the program. So ESG has different activities, which is the street outreach. We currently do with 2 different nonprofits, which is Catholic Social Service and Manielo. What they do is they go out every Friday and do go to different places, which we call target outreach. That whenever we hear, anyone from the community or any referrals, they go and see these individuals and engage them and convince them, to buy into the program and do an assessment and see what their needs are. Now, emergency shelter, we currently have a temporary emergency shelter, which I'm going to discuss later once we go to the next slide. And then another emergency shelter is being managed by Barrow Victims Advocates, reaching out for those individuals and families who are victims or survivors of domestic violence, sexual abuse, and human trafficking, what have you. And now we come to rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. Rapid rehousing is managed by, the regular one is managed by Salvation Army, wherein we provide assistance, utilities and rental assistance to those people who are street homeless or coming out from emergency shelter or coming out of victims of domestic violence. And prevention, homeless prevention is the assistance that we we provide under the regular ESG for about 6 months for those households who are at risk of being homeless because they have arrears and they couldn't afford to pay for their utilities and rental assistance. Assistance may be up to 6 months under the regular ESG. Okay, and feel free to ask me questions if you have any. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is the regular ESG and the current allocation that we receive. So Salvation Army Family Service Center, which is the one-stop homeless assistance center, is provided 155,334. This is annual. They use this to assist those households who are in need of housing or who are at risk of being homeless by providing funds for them, financial assistance to pay for their arrears, whether it's rent or utilities. Another allocation is from Lumaman Open. We provide to sanctuary for those young adults who are ready to live on their own. This actually coming, from ESG, which project is kind of confusing because it's a joint project under the COC with dual funding from the ESG. Because what they do is they assist young adults who are homeless and they put them up in transitional housing, which is the shelter. And when they're ready to be housed, that's when they provide the rental assistance under ESG. So as you could see, GHURA, gets a minimal admin funds out of that. So total allocation annually is 261,278. Next slide, please. So this is the current program that we got from HUD that was allocated to one under the ARP, which we call the COVID funds. That's why we call it ESGCP.
COVID relief, not ARP.
Oh yeah, COVID relief.
There's excellent.
Yeah. So ESG, as you can see, ESGCP is to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID. So what we have done is we provided funding to different organizations, as you could see in the chart, that so as they can provide immediate assistance during the pandemic. And up to now, the funding would expire in September 2023. So currently we are providing homeless prevention and rapid rehousing, which we first at CSS, Catholic Social Services, which they call the COVID relief, with the amount of 500,342. Also, the amount of 660,000 is provided to the Salvation Army to provide rapid rehousing and homeless prevention projects as well. To date, both projects, both organizations has reported to assist 137 households. And then next is the street outreach. The temporary emergency shelter with 1.6 million. This is the temporary shelter, the Tamuning Lodge, that we partner with Catholic Social Service to operate the shelter operations, and Project Akuli of Manielo to provide the case management. So far, they have housed 121 individuals and families, and with outreach, they have engaged 216 persons. As you can see, there is a wait list because there are more people that wanted to be housed in the hotel, but we just don't have enough rooms for them. So we're still trying to figure out how to extend this program. So the next is the emergency shelter, which is again managed by Vero, and they have assisted about 61 households so far. And I guess that's the complete allocations for the ESG, which is a total allocation of 3.3 million. Next slide, please. So eligibility criteria, homeless prevention. With the COVID funds, we are reporting that there's really no households that were served, although they were provided case management. The reason being is because of the moratorium that was imposed during that time. And what the nonprofit did was they referred the applicants to the ERA program, Emergency Rental Assistance, that's being managed by DOA. So currently, I don't see much of this coming in, the homeless prevention, because the ERA has helped as our partners have done the case management. But in the future, we would see a lot of this. A lot of applicants will be coming in with when the ERA concludes. So one of the conditions that they have to meet is if they have an eviction notice, and of course all the required documentation, meaning identification and all that, and then receipts of arrears if they have any from GPA or GWA. Next slide, please. Rapid rehousing. This one has this program has assisted a lot of families, individuals and families so far with the ESG CV alone. As of July, they have assisted 121 individuals and families. And these are families who are out in the street or have been staying in emergency shelters. More of those, if you're familiar with the Global Dorm, we have housed most of those individuals and families that came from the Global Dorm, and they can be assisted with ESG CV funds initially for 12 months. And if they need more assistance, they can be funded for another 12 months until the program expired in September 2023. So those are the people who are literally homeless, or those ones fleeing domestic violence. So if you know anybody or some organization that would need assistance with this one, please send them our way. And I think that concludes my presentation. Yes, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you very much.
If I may, Chairman, I'm really glad that Amor was able to present regarding the ESG and ESGC COVID funding, because we get a lot of calls from Adelup or other persons that are trying to help those that are homeless or at risk of homelessness, who may have applied for public housing or are under the Section 8 wait list, but they are truly homeless or at risk of homelessness. And so I really look to Amor for help and ask her. I gave her all the information that she needs, and I asked her, can you please look into what these constituents may be eligible for under those various ESG programs? And many times they're able to come through so that we can help to keep a lot of these individuals or families off the streets. So I really would like to thank her at this time for continuing to be receptive to my sending her emails regarding such individuals and families, and always, coming through with trying to help find what programs they may be eligible for. So thank you, Ms. Amor.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Right. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Moore? No. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Moore, for your presentation. Right. Thank you for the work that you do. Kathy, thank you for your team. I appreciate, we appreciate very much, right, the work that you do. Madam Director, your report.
Okay, so for my report, actually, the project updates are what I felt were really important. And Mr. Sunny was gracious enough to go ahead and agree to present project updates. So I will defer to Sunny at this time.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Director, and Commissioners. Again, thank you for your time. I will attempt to keep this very short. These are the project updates for the CDBG and various other projects that A&E is now currently working on. There we go. I'll be presenting a few slides on these projects up there. So go ahead, Ms. Audrey. Next slide, please. Now, just as a little background, we did meet with inland builders a few weeks back and gave them put the fear of God into them and told them, look, you know, you folks have been delaying, you are not working as quickly as you should. And by the way, we will send your bonding company a notification that this is what's been happening. And since then, they have been moving forward because now my staff, it's either me, Mike, or Mr. Andrew will go there and do a daily check just to see how their progress is coming along. This was from yesterday's pictures. As you remember, yesterday it was raining, and so now it's rain or shine, that there are people actually working. And in this slide, you can see that they've laid conduit. They're preparing for a concrete pour. This is for the foundation for this Friday. Again, weather permitting. It'll be difficult to pour when it's raining too much. So we'll see how it goes. But nonetheless, they're laying down the electrical conduits, putting down and tying up whatever rebar that needs to be tied up for Friday's pour. Okay. Now, once this is done, of course, they're thinking, well, we could lay back a little bit, let the concrete cure. No, next step is for them to start on the rainwater, stormwater, and wastewater infrastructure. I want them getting rolling on that because it's not really sequential. It can be simultaneous. And so a lot of the periphery infrastructure will start after this pour is made. And they're anticipating arrival of the H2s either sometime in 2 weeks or so, more or less. That's what was promised to us. And again, that will be reported eventually, more to follow. Okay, next slide, please. This is the Pneumatic baseball field. We're close to tying up that project, pending electrical connections for the lights, and of course water connections for the restroom. And this picture was taken yesterday, and again we put the fear of God on Infratech. Same thing. It's like, look, you guys, you're behind. You have until the end of the month to perform. Otherwise, we will then move forward with pulling your bond. And so now they have guys, rain or shine, showing up and doing as much work as they can, of course, weather permitting or however they decide to do it, but they're doing it. And so we're looking at an end of the month completion date, and we're keeping them to that. Okay. The rest of the infrastructure is done. It's just the connections, the electrical and water connections that are remaining. Next slide, please. The Sinahanya Arts Center, I just found out this morning that the punch list is complete. And so we are meeting with the mayor tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Deputy, at 1:30 along, that's already been, I think you've been emailed that notification, sir. And of course, commissioners, you're welcome to attend that meeting as well tomorrow to prepare and plan for the upcoming ribbon cutting and grand opening. The mayor did want to wait at the time, about a month ago, he was waiting for his art material, what to hang and display. Now I've been told that it has arrived. And so he's more than happy to discuss activities, opening activities for the Sinahanya Arts Center. Now there is one caveat though, the walkway is not done because the contractor was asking for a really large change order and upgrade, which we did not agree to. So we ended up getting funding from the governor's office through the mayor to go out on a bid for that walkway. And so that you'll see that part is missing, but we are moving forward to get that built. Okay. Next slide, please. This is one of the projects that Ms. Jolin had just discussed about the homes project. There's 2 under construction. This was awarded back in January 2022. About 1,400 square foot properties, one at Dededo and one at Packet. They're each priced there. The going rate for these types of homes, it's a 2-bed, 1.5 bath with a carport, 1,400 square feet, renting it, you can see there, $334,000, plus or minus $250 a square foot, as compared to pre-COVID prices, which ran at about $125 a square foot. So you can see that there's a pretty big change, but these pictures were taken yesterday. There were some workers there, but they were sent home because of the COVID. But this is again moving forward. And it was awarded to Genesis Tech back in January of this year. Okay, next slide, please. And these are other projects that A&E is involved with or will be involved with, and that's why I put a lot of I don't want to say pressure, but hoping that my staff will start closing up. We wanted to start closing up the easier projects like the Umatic, Inarahan, and Art Center, so that we can prepare ourselves for these new projects that are in the queue. Eastern Substation, the Eastern Sub and the Sinahanya fire stations, those are still under discussions, but they are in the 5-year timeline for timeliness. So those have started already. The phase 2, Ms. Jolin was talking about that Grow Power. It's a transitional housing over at Waiseng Song, in the corner of the Waiseng Song and Santa Monica. We do have things like senior citizens upgrades and of course the telefocal renaissance. I will present all pictures and stuff in forthcoming. Otherwise you'd stay here for another hour if I kept going. So, but that's just CDBG. We're also, A&E is also involved with capital funds. Mods, we have at any one time 25 units that are live for renovation. So that keeps us busy, and I tease the director and the deputies, look, we don't need to do anything else, just keep us in mods. We will be busy forever, because that renovation is just ongoing, because the assets are aging, just like a car. It needs maintenance. And for us, as much as it is tempting to just let the contractor do their thing and they can hide it, I still remind my staff, and me included, that we have to visit. We visit at least once a day at all these sites, and mind you, they're all over Guam. Drainage correction, you'll be seeing that very soon, if not already. Site improvements for AMP1. And oh, by the way, there is a tree removal in the site improvements, so we've already accommodated that in our scope, and already notified Dr. Shelton of that occurrence. Okay, so that's already prepared for. There's an RFP for a physical needs assessment that is done every 5 years, along with an energy audit. And of course, lead-based paint removal is one of our how do you call it, little thorns in our sides, because there aren't any more lead-based paint removal companies on island. The last one, I think, closed down about 2 or 3 years ago, whether it was COVID or they just ran out of business. It's a funny thing with lead-based paint, because once you're done, you have no more business, because it's pure mitigation, pure removal. So you have nothing else is sustainable. No business sense to keep it going. So that's the double-edged sword with these mitigation companies. And that concludes my project update for you, Madam Director.
Thank you, Mr. Sunny.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Sunny.
Madam Director, any other announcements?
Not at this time, and we do have another opportunity for more executive director updates. If you all agree to oblige us for a Tuesday, October 25th board meeting, which is your next topic.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Madam Director. So moving on to item number 8, general discussion and announcements. There is on that agenda item, right? Next proposed scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, October 25th at 12 p.m. commissioners, please mark your calendars. I'm sure Audrey will be reaching out to you to confirm that. Any other discussions or announcements, commissioners? No, hearing and seeing none, right? May I call, we're down to adjournment. May I call a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to adjourn. All right, thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. And you get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice. Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, right? We call this meeting at 1:45 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your work.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Stay safe and dry.